Hey guys, I'm Dr. Tobisch with Whitefish Chiropractic, and the topic of this month's video series is going to be spinal hygiene, which is basically just going to be a simple set of stretches and mobilizations for different parts of the spine that you could do every day to maintain or even restore your mobility. Now, if we think back to harder times in history, when we were hunter-gatherers, or even just times where we did a lot more manual labor type jobs, well, those people didn't really need to spend a bunch of time at the gym doing strength and resistance training to maintain their resilience because they were probably adequately stressing their bodies every day. They didn't need to spend a ton of time stretching and doing mobility work because they were likely moving the joints and tissues of their body through full ranges of motion almost every day. Now, if we fast forward to the world that we live in now, well, it's nice that the world that we live in now is a lot easier, but there's pros and cons to everything. And I think a big con is that we spend the vast majority of our time in the same positions every single day. And when we do move, we move through relatively small ranges of motion. With the human body, the phrase, if you don't use it, you lose it, well, that's very true. So as we live in the same positions and move through the same small ranges of motion, our joints become stiff, our muscles become short and tight, adapting to the positions that we spend most of our time in. And as we gradually lose mobility, we start to develop other problems like muscle imbalances and poor movement patterns. So in the world that we live in now, we need to take time and deliberately move the joints and tissues of our body through full ranges of motion. So just like oral hygiene, where you brush and floss every day, you can take a little bit of time out of your day and mix in these exercises so you can avoid that progressive loss of mobility and all the problems that come with it. First exercise we're going to look at for the mid-back is going to be a thoracic extension mobilization. All you need is a chair with a back or a foam roller works great. So to get set up, we'll just use this chair back as a fulcrum. So we'll get that kind of right between your shoulder blades. You can lace your fingers behind your neck. Then from here, we're just going to push the spine into extension. So you could do several of them going straight back. You could rotate slightly to one side and do the same thing. You can switch and do the other side. I would shoot for 10 to 15 reps. Next thing we're going to look at is going to be a thoracic rotation mobilization, and we're going to mix in some deep breathing to help mobilize the rib cage. So if you're rotating to the right, take your right foot and cross it over your left to kind of block your hips and pelvis from moving. Then you can lace your fingers behind your head. Now we're going to rotate as far as you can to the right. Once you get to your end point, we're going to dip down until you feel a big stretch on the opposite side. Come back up. Now we're going to mix in 2 huge breaths into the belly and rib cage, like you're trying to rip your rib cage open from the inside. Now we're going to see how much further you can rotate. So rotate as far as you can, dip down, then rinse and repeat with the deep breathing. I do 3 to 5 cycles on each side. Last thing we're going to look at is going to be a kneeling thoracic mobility exercise, which is just great for overall mid-back mobility. So to get started, you can be in a kneeling position with your knee and your hip lightly pressed into the wall. Then we'll lace the fingers behind your head. So you can start in this open position. From here, we're going to do a big circle with your elbow until you're facing the opposite way. Now you can dip down, return to the starting position. So we'll come back around, see if you can get both elbows on the wall, then we'll dip down the other way. I'd shoot for 3 to 5 cycles on each side.